Blessed love and welcome to U.S. History Data Meeting. This is Mr. Peterson, aka Coach Pete. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the overall data, and we're going to take a look at two different assessments, the Common Assessment number 2 and also our midterm. Alright, now both of them were given through Canvas, and on Canvas you have these ways of looking at data. You can use your section filter. This is for all sections, so when it says average score 46%, that is the average score of all of my classes. I teach period 1, period 2, and also period 7 U.S. history. You can also look at student analysis, and you can also look at item analysis when you're giving assessments, quizzes through Canvas. All right, so we can look at our midterm and we see that the average score was higher than the Common Assessment number 2, 63%. The high score was a little bit lower though at 88%. And then you can also look at your standard deviation and the average time. Alright, now on Canvas you can also look at your item analysis. This is an example of Common Assessment number 2, and here you can see the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, and it does give you categories at the top where you can see the answered and top students and bottom students and the quiz question, but be quite honest with you, that's very difficult for me to really understand everything that's going on right there. That's not very user friendly for me. Now this is a little bit better because once again it's still on Canvas, but it shows the actual question, and then you can see how many students or respondents got a correct answer and then which ones they got incorrect. And also you can see how some have not even responded. Right, so this is helpful. One, it gives me, I can see the question, I can see the complexity, and I can see that 47% of all of the students that took the Common Assessment number 2 got that correct. Now for the midterm, I got a little bit better. As you can see with the Common Assessment number 2, you can look at the differences here. Not only is the complexity listed, but also the standard, and that right there for me is going to be the key, because moving forward with creating these assessments, making sure that that item is included will allow me to be able to look at the questions and then be able to compile how many students did well, but not just on the question, but on the standard, because having the question there, but then kind of just being familiar a little bit with the standard, like I know it might come from a 4 point something, but I didn't know it was a 4.5, for example. So that allows me to be able to compile the data and just be a little bit more efficient with it. So I can see here that with a low complexity question, dealing with standard a 4.5, that 77% of the class understood where we were going with that, right? All right, so here we have another example of the midterm questions, but if you look at it, still it talks about the complexity, but this complexity is M, moderate, right? Same standard, and as we can see, instead of it being 77% as it was on the previous low complexity question, with the moderate complexity, now it's moved to 48%. So what does that tell me? That tells me that my students are performing better on the low complexity questions than they are on the moderate level questions. So as a teacher, that's going to give me great insight that I should spend more time dealing with the moderate level questions of complexity. This midterm question, I did not include the standard, and as you can see, that would have been very helpful if I did, but moving forward, make sure not to make that mistake again. However, if we look at the differences between this question and the two previous ones, this one has a image as the stimulus. So if we look, 50% got this question correct. So what does this tell me? Once again, that just like I need to spend more time dealing with moderate level questions, I also need to spend more time with students being able to analyze these images in order to respond to questions correctly. So let's sum it up. Where is the data driving? 1. Include standard and question format to make data collection and analysis more efficient. 2. More time on moderate questions is necessary. If you need to go back, see slides 5 and 6. 3. Must focus on image stimuli when preparing practice assignments and test questions. 4. Utilize a platform that makes collecting data and reading it more user-friendly. BeSocrative.com. Now, why am I about to talk about Socrative quiz creation? Well, because that is a platform that I've used, and if you've listened to me talk for longer than 30 minutes about anything dealing with social science or what we do here in school, you'll hear me say something about this. Why? Because I've been using it, and it really has helped me to, once again, collect data and make sure that I'm using the best standard-based approach that I can. As you can see with the Socrative quiz creation, you can align the quiz to a standard, and also you can enable sharing. So once you have it completed, it's there. And one of the things I've like about this Socrative is that I've had this account since 2013. Notice how the school district, they haven't used it at all, but I have all of the quizzes that I've used and all of the reports that I've used. Whereas on Canvas, it's a little bit more difficult to access some of those quiz results from previous years if you haven't already downloaded them. It's there on the site. Now, before I showed you the Canvas item analysis, here is the Socrative item analysis, and for my eyes, and I do need glasses, I do wear them, I can see that much easier than I can the Canvas stuff. Alright, so just in case you forgot what they look like, to the left you see Canvas, and to the right you see Socrative. Now tell me, which one looks more user-friendly to you? Here we have another example of Socrative item analysis. As you can see, the questions are just like they are on the EOC, to where you can see the political cartoons. That's what the students would see and click on, and then they can answer those questions, and it gives you a breakdown of how many students got each one right. And with these questions, also on another page where it gives the explanation, I put the standard there, so when I'm looking at the results, live results, you can actually see as I'm going over it with students in the class. I can also look to see where the standard is for each question. That way, when I'm compiling data, I can see, okay, only 37% of my students have done well on low, moderate, and high complexity questions dealing with a 4.5. It allows for that to be able to be compiled much easier, so that I'm able to kind of keep a better track. Another great feature of Socrative is the student item analysis that can be downloaded for each individual student. Here you have an example of Module 17 assessment, the age of imperialism. You can clearly see the percentage that the student got, and also how many questions were correct out of how many questions were asked. Oh yeah, I forgot. Canvas has it too, and this is what it looks like. Ugh. In conclusion, this is not a plea to get other teachers to adopt a new platform and change the way they teach. It is an attempt to explain why I use the platform of b.socrative.com as a tool to assess students, collect data, and interpret data so that I may construct the most meaningful standard-based lessons for my students' optimal achievement. Thank you for tuning in to WTAP 103.7. This has been your host, Coach P. This has been U.S. History Data Meeting. Blessed love. Love takes us.